Okay, so Elon Musk. I mean, this guy, right? Launching rockets, tweeting up a storm, you never know what he's going to do next.
Yeah, he's definitely a headline grabber, that's for sure.
And a listener wrote in saying they find him fascinating, but also a bit confusing. So that's what we're going to try to unpack in this deep dive today.
Sounds good. We've got a pretty hefty stack of articles here, interviews, even some court transcripts.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, we're going to see if we can really decipher what makes this guy tick.
Sounds like a plan. So everyone knows about Tesla, SpaceX, but where did it all even begin? I hear he was a pretty unusual kid.
Oh, yeah. The story goes that he sold his first computer game, it's called Blastar,
Mm.
when he was just 12 years old. Got like $500 for it.
$100 at 12. That's wild.
It is. Now, whether that's completely true or, maybe a little embellished over the years, who knows?
Right.
But it kind of paints a picture, doesn't it?
Definitely not your average kid selling lemonade. And then he drops out of Stanford after just 2 days to start Zip2. I mean, come on.
Yeah, that's either incredibly brave or just plain crazy.
Right. Maybe a little of both.
Probably both. But it's important to remember, Zip2 wasn't just some random idea he had. They were providing online city guides to newspapers, like way before anyone else was doing that.
Ah, so he was ahead of the curve even back then.
Oh, absolutely. He saw a need, a gap in the market, and he just went for it.
So he has this knack for spotting the next big thing. But it's not just about ideas, right? He's got to build these companies, lead teams, and sometimes things get a little messy. Take PayPal, for example.
Ah, yes, PayPal. The story of him getting ousted as CEO is almost as famous as the company itself.
Isn't it? So how does that fit into the whole Elon Musk picture?
Well, what's interesting is that even though he was forced out, Musk still ended up with a huge chunk of money when eBay bought PayPal.
Wow, so it's kind of a win-win even when he loses.
Exactly. And it shows that he can build something with real staying power, something that attracts big buyers,
Yeah.
even if he's not the one running it anymore.
Okay, so that's kind of the early Elon Musk. Spotting opportunities, taking risks, not always playing by the rules.
Mm-hmm.
And then comes Tesla. I mean, everybody knows Tesla these days.
Right.
Electric cars, pushing the boundaries, all that. But what was the real game changer? Like the thing that made people really sit up and take notice?
Well, it's tempting to say the Roadster, right?
Yeah.
Because it was just such a cool car.
Yeah, it was.
But I think the real paradigm shift, the one that really shook things up,
Yeah.
was the Model S.
The Model S. Okay.
Because it wasn't just an electric car. It was a luxury car, a high-performance car.
So he was saying you can go green without sacrificing style and power.
Exactly. And that message, it really resonated with people.
It did, but I mean, it wasn't all smooth sailing, right? Tesla had its fair share of struggles.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Production delays, financial problems, you name it.
Yeah.
Musk even poured a ton of his own money into the company just to keep it afloat.
That's a huge gamble.
It was. But you look at Tesla now, it's a market leader.
It really is.
It's forced the whole automotive industry to rethink electric vehicles.
It has. And speaking of changing the world, we got to talk about SpaceX.
Ah, SpaceX. The private company that reached orbit before anyone else. Aiming for Mars colonization.
Mars colonization.
I mean, it sounds like something out of a movie.
It really does, but that's kind of classic Musk, isn't it? Aiming for what seems impossible.
It is. But SpaceX isn't just about these grand ambitions. They've actually achieved some pretty incredible things.
Yeah, like what?
Well, the Crew Dragon mission, sending astronauts to the International Space Station. That was huge.
Yeah, that was pretty amazing.
It proved that private companies could play a major role in space exploration.
Wow.
And that opens up, a whole new world of possibilities.
It does. And then there's the Starship program, even more ambitious than Crew Dragon.
Oh, yeah. Aiming for crewed missions to Mars. It's crazy.
Where does he even come up with this stuff?
I know, right? And that kind of leads us to some of his other ventures, which maybe aren't as well known. Neuralink and the Boring Company.
Neuralink. That's the brain-machine interface one, right?
Yeah.
Sounds a little out there, even for Elon Musk.
It does. But these ventures, they tell us a lot about how he thinks.
Okay, so Neuralink, brain-machine interfaces, it sounds like, straight out of the Matrix.
It does, right?
Oh.
But the idea is to connect the human brain directly to computers.
Whoa. Okay, and what's the point of that?
Well, on the surface, it might just seem like, science fiction stuff.
Yeah.
But think about the potential medical applications.
Oh, right.
Treating paralysis, Alzheimer's, maybe even restoring lost senses.
Wow, that would be incredible.
It would. And then you have the boring company, which compared to sending people to Mars, sounds kind of boring, actually.
Right.
Digging tunnels under cities to solve traffic.
Yeah, that's a bit more down to earth.
It is, but that's what's interesting here. It shows that Musk is also concerned with these very practical problems.
Yeah.
Things that affect us all, every day.
Yeah.
And he's not afraid to tackle them in, shall we say, unconventional ways.
He sees a problem, and instead of thinking, well, that's just how it is, he's like, nope, I can fix that.
Exactly. And that, I think, is Elon Musk in a nutshell. A mix of ambition, entrepreneurial spirit, and this relentless drive to solve problems, big or small.
So we've got a pretty good picture of the companies, the ideas, but what about the man himself? What drives him? How is he actually changing the world? We'll get into all that right after this.
All right, so we've seen the companies, the rockets, the tunnels. Like, it's clear Musk is all about shaking things up. But what's the big picture here? What kind of impact is he actually having on the world?
Well, I mean, on one level, he's a force for change. Like, literally, he's not just making new products, he's disrupting entire industries.
Yeah.
Look at the car industry. Tesla's basically forced companies like Ford and GM to finally actually take electric vehicles seriously.
Right, like he's almost single-handedly sped up the whole transition to sustainable transportation.
And it's not just cars, right? SpaceX has shown that private companies can compete with and even beat like government agencies when it comes to space exploration.
And that raises a really interesting question. What happens when space travel becomes more accessible, more commercial?
Whoa.
It's a whole new frontier with, both amazing possibilities and potential dangers.
It's kind of mind-blowing to even think about. But there's another side to this whole thing, right?
Yeah.
The visionary aspect, this idea of a sustainable future, a multiplanetary civilization.
Right.
Is that just hype? Or is there actually something to it?
That's the million-dollar question.
Right.
And it's one that people are really debating. Is Musk a genius who's leading us to this brighter future? Or is he kind of a reckless dreamer with ideas that could actually be dangerous? There are good arguments on both sides.
Okay, so let's talk about the elephant in the room. We can't talk about Musk without talking about the controversies. Worker treatment issues, the sometimes erratic behavior, that whole Twitter saga.
Yeah, the Twitter thing is a perfect example of how Musk's words can have really real-world consequences.
Yeah.
He has this massive platform, and what he says can, literally move markets, spark huge debates, even influence politics.
And that brings up this big question. Where's the line between ambition and responsibility? Can someone who's pushing the boundaries of innovation also be held accountable for, the unintended consequences?
It's a tough balance, and it's something we're dealing with more and more as technology just keeps advancing at this crazy pace.
Right.
And Musk, I think, really embodies this whole dilemma.
He's kind of this paradox. He's capable of amazing brilliance, incredible vision, but he can also be, impulsive, even reckless. It makes you wonder, is the innovation worth the chaos?
That's a question we all have to ask ourselves, I think. Do we just accept the downsides of disruption because the potential benefits are so big? Or do we demand more accountability from the people who are shaping the future?
I don't think there are any easy answers when it comes to Elon Musk.
Definitely not.
But I think one thing's for sure. He's not afraid to challenge how things are done. He's constantly pushing boundaries, and whether you admire him or you question his methods, you can't deny the impact he's having.
Yeah. And that impact goes way beyond the companies and the tech he creates. He started this global conversation about the future, the role of technology, the responsibility that comes with power and influence.
So for our listener who's diving deeper into Elon Musk, I think the takeaway here is that there's no single story.
Right.
It's complex, it's messy, and it's always changing.
Exactly. Don't just buy into the hype or the criticism.
Yeah.
Really dig in, explore all the different sides, and form your own opinion.
Because ultimately, this future that Musk is helping to shape, it's a future that we're all going to be a part of.
We are.
And we all have a say in what it looks like. Now, speaking of pushing boundaries, Musk has a couple of ventures that are even more mind-bending than electric cars and rockets. Okay, so we talked about Tesla, SpaceX, even that whole Twitter thing. But Musk has a couple of other projects that are really out there. Neuralink and the Boring Company.
Yeah, these ventures, they're fascinating. They show a different side of his ambition. you know?
Right.
With Neuralink, he's not just trying to change an industry, he's trying to change what it means to be human.
Yeah, brain-machine interfaces, connecting our minds to computers. It sounds like sci-fi, but if it works, I mean, the implications are
Oh,
huge.
they're massive. Imagine being able to control things with your thoughts, download information directly to your brain,
Whoa.
maybe even merge your consciousness with AI.
Yeah.
It's exciting and kind of scary at the same time.
It is. And then there's the Boring Company,
Yeah.
which, I mean, compared to all that, it sounds almost boring.
Right. Digging tunnels to fix traffic.
Yeah.
But it shows that Musk also cares about these everyday problems and wants to solve them, even if it means getting his hands dirty, literally.
Yeah, it's a different side of him for sure. So we've covered a lot here. Electric cars, space travel, brain-computer interfaces, underground tunnels. It's almost impossible to put Musk in a box.
It is. He's constantly pushing the boundaries of what we think is possible.
And that's what makes him so interesting.
Yeah, even if you don't agree with how he does things or even some of his ideas,
Right.
he makes you think bigger. Imagine a future that's totally different from today.
He's like a modern-day Thomas Edison, a visionary inventor who's not afraid to shake things up, even if it makes some people mad.
And just like Edison, Musk is a polarizing figure, right?
Definitely.
Some people think he's a hero, a genius leading us to a better future. Others think he's a reckless billionaire, messing with stuff that could be dangerous.
Yeah, I think most people are probably somewhere in between. He's a complicated guy with both good and bad qualities. But one thing's for sure, he's not boring.
Nope, definitely not boring. And that might be his biggest gift to us, this sense of wonder, this belief that anything is possible if you dream big and work hard.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into Elon Musk, we want to leave you with this thought. What do you think Musk's legacy will be? Will he be the guy who saved us from climate change, took us to Mars, or a cautionary tale about ambition gone too far?
Only time will tell. But one thing's for sure, Musk's story reminds us that the future isn't set in stone. We create it through our choices, our actions, our willingness to embrace the possibilities and the challenges that come with them.
And as we figure out this crazy future, it's more important than ever to talk about, the impact of technology on our lives and the world.
It is. So next time you hear about a Tesla breaking a speed record, a SpaceX rocket launching, or a Neuralink implant helping someone, remember this conversation. Keep asking questions, challenge what you think you know, and keep imagining a future that's worth fighting for.
That's it for our deep dive into Elon Musk. Thanks for listening, and keep those brains buzzing.